Hello dear students, welcome to your online class. How are you all? Hope you all are absolutely fine, safe and following our classes. This is our third class on Poetics, written by the famous philosopher Aristotle. And to present this class, here I am Khaleda Yasmin Sweety, lecturer, Department of English, Dhaka Mahanagar Mohila College. In our today's class, we'll try to discuss and analyze from chapter 5 to 9. We will start our discussion from chapter 5. In this section, Aristotle further explores the formal qualities and origins of comedy, epic, and tragedy. Comedy can be described as an imitation of something that is imperfect or ugly in a way that does not communicate or create pain. Unlike tragedy, comedy did not pass through the same extended period of development and originated in Sicily. Epic poetry finally imitates man of noble action like tragedy, but epic poetry only allows one kind of meter and is narrative in form. Moreover, tragedy usually confines itself to a single day, whereas epic poetry has no limits of time. Ultimately, all the elements of an epic poetry are found in tragedy, but not all the elements of tragedy are found in an epic. That means comedy imitates inferior people, focusing on the ugly and the ludicrous, but not necessarily evil as such. The ugly can be defined as something that causes no pain or distraction. Unlike tragedy, comedy was not taken as seriously in its beginnings. Thus, by the time of comic poets appeared, comedy was already an established form, and the origins of the comic tradition, masks, prologues, or groups of actors used in comedy are unclear. Like tragedy, epic poetry is composed of significant length. Employed imitation was composed in verse and was composed in the interest of being taken seriously. Going on to distinguish between epic and tragedy, Aristotle observes that epic has much in common with tragedy, following its example in both form and content, while also noting several key differences between the two. Dear students, before starting chapter 6, I want to discuss what is tragedy. In his Poetics, Aristotle has given a very concrete and exact definition of tragedy, and no one can deny this. That is, tragedy is the imitation of an action that is serious, complete, and of a certain magnitude in a language embellished with each kind of artistic ornament, each kind brought separately in separate parts of the work in the form of action and not in the narrative form, with incidents arousing fear and pity, and wherewith to accomplish two catharses of such emotions. Dear students, this definition is very important and it may come to your question as brief, short, or broad. In chapter 6, Aristotle sets aside the subject of comedy and epic poetry and introduces tragedy as the topic of the following chapter. He defines tragedy as poetry that concerns serious actions of a certain gravity, uses language that incorporates harmony, rhythm, and song, and is performed by actors. Tragedy consists of 6 main elements, that is, they are character, plot, diction, thought, spectacle, and song. Aristotle argues that plot is central to tragedy, while character development is secondary. Thought seems to indicate the intellectual aspects of the work, and diction the order and meaning of words. Spectacle of the actors and acting has the power to incite emotion, but Aristotle considers it the least important of the 6 elements of tragedy. Now, we'll try to analyze this chapter 6. First of all, we'll analyze the definition of tragedy. That is, tragedy is a process of imitation with serious implication. It is a process of imitation with serious implication, and it is performed by actors. Tragedy is a process of imitation with serious implication. It is a process of imitation with serious implication, and it is performed by actors. Imitation is a process of imitation with serious implication. It is a process of imitation with serious implication, and it is performed by actors. With serious implication, created with sensuous language, and presented by actors. It's well-crafted language incorporating a blend of rhythm and melody while also mixing spoken verse and song. And tragedy arouses in the audience the emotion of pity and fear and evokes a catharsis of such emotion. Now we'll discuss the 6 important parts of tragedy one by one. First of all, we'll talk about plot. The most important element of a tragedy is plot because tragedy imitates life and action rather than men. The tone of tragedy is defined by its action, even while its morality may be determined by character. Because the tragedy can exist without character but not without plot. Plot is essential. According to Aristotle, many contemporary comedies were composed with character, but none existed without plot. After plot and then character, the third most important element of tragedy is thought, indicating the way that characters speak and convey their point of view through a command of rhetoric. Character refers to a kind of speech that reveals a person's morality through a defined choice, while thought refers to a more abstract type of argument. The fourth element, verbal expression, refers to the way thought is demonstrated through language. The least important spectacle of tragedy or aspects of tragedy are music and the visual. In this section, Aristotle extends his analysis of tragedy as a form. This chapter focuses primarily on the structure of a tragic plot. The plot must have a beginning, middle, and an end, such part naturally causing or following the previous. Aristotle suggests that a plot gains adequate gravity through length. He argues that a small thing or short plot is not notable, but something that is too large to see the shape of is also problematic. The plot of a tragedy should be long but have a clear shape and a sense of wholeness. That is, tragedy imitates an action that is complete and whole, meaning something with a beginning, middle, and an end, where beginning means something after which something else happens, and end means something that happens after something else, and then nothing happened afterwards. Plots must follow this basic structure. In chapter 8, Aristotle also says that the tragic plot must be built around a single main action. In regard to the protagonist of the story, only the character's actions that are relevant to the main thread of the plot should be included. If actions or events do not make an impact by their inclusion or exclusion from the plot, then those actions are unnecessary. Chapter 9 focuses or opens with the argument that the poet's job is to write about what may happen as opposed to what has happened already. While comedy might invent characters as well as plot, tragedy usually uses the names of real people to give credibility and weight to the story. Aristotle emphasizes the creation of plot over the use of language, as the poet's job is to imitate action. The poet and the historian have distinctly different jobs. The poet writes about the universal and the historian's focus is the specific. Aristotle also insists that plot should not be episodic, and episodes are not connected by organic causes and effect. Plots should evoke surprise and emotion in the reader, and those feelings are stronger when events have clear cause and effect instead of being the result of chance. That means the poet should not be concerned with relating fact and what really happened, but with probabilities of actions. The historian and the poet are different not only in the poet's use of verse over prose, but because the historian relays fact while the poet is concerned with possible action. That's all for today, my dear students. Hope you have understood the whole discussion. Aristotle Poetics, a very important essay. Not only that, it is full of reference, full of information. So, my dear students, in our next class, we'll continue our journey from the next chapter. Till then, stay safe. Thank you.